I already signed this. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, everyone. And we are live. I will just bring up the agenda for us.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Welcome to our March 25th, 2024 meeting of the Millbrook Trails Advisory Committee. Before we begin, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge the Township of Catamonigan is located on the Treaty 20 Mishi-Sagig territory and the traditional territory of the Mishi-Sagig. We offer our gratitude to First Nations for their care for and teachings about these lands. May we honor these teachings. Next point, approval of the agenda. I think before we go forward, we want to add a number of items to the agenda. Okay. Do you want to make the motion, Dave? Sure. Or do you want me to?
It doesn't matter. I just have to find.
I got it right here. Okay, so could we please add to the agenda plans to reroute a short section of the Grand Trunk pathway to bypass a seasonal spring? And number 2, identifying the procedure that township light clubs and groups to follow when planning activities and events on the Millbrook Valley Trail. And 3, the creation of Baxter Creek Trail and Fairgrounds Trail.
Oh, thank you. So it would be approval of the agenda as amended. And I'll just you move in second.
I'll move it.
Lance?
Second it. I can second it.
Okay. All in favor? Thank you. Okay. The minutes of our last meeting, February 26th. Does anybody have any comments or questions? Edits, omissions? No. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes? John?
Moved.
Second. Dave, all in favor? Good. Okay, Chris, financial report.
Financial report, so contracted services, there's $1,700 of 1,700 approved for me. Materials and supplies at 4,800. There's 4,698.73, and there's also 2 invoices outstanding, which is the seedling order, which is $212.98, and the sign purchase, which is $257.24.
So those all haven't been omitted
Yeah.
from the 4,673.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, and a motion to accept the financial report from Chris. Maureen, seconded by John, all in favor? Workout date, Meredith.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, through you. We did receive your tree seedling order during the last meeting, so that's great. Those trees will be delivered to us on the 24th of April, so pickup will be the 25th or the 26th. So I can coordinate with the committee to see who wants to pick those up. We are just in the midst of hiring all of our summer staff. Our campgrounds open on the 10th of May. So things are busy here. And I think that's about it. I don't have a lot to report at this moment, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that people may have.
I don't have a question, Meredith, but I want to make a correction to the committee for some of the things I said about black birch or river birch last time. The one on the day that I was opening the seedling order, that particular link didn't open, probably because I was out of Wi-Fi range. But so I looked it up under its common name and got the ornamental birch. That is also called river birch, and which has an orange underbark. The river birch that Orca is selling is also commonly known as black birch. It's also a very lovely lovely bush or tree, but it doesn't have that nice salmon pink underbark. Nonetheless, it does compete successfully in areas where buckthorn has been, so it's going to be a good choice. And the other thing that I said about birch in general was quite wrong. I mean, it's just, I had thought that it was migrating upward because of climate change. I've been given to understand that somehow, but actually they're all cold weather. Birches are cold weather trees, so it would have been happy here years ago had we had we thought. So if you hear me talking nonsense in the future, Meredith, update me right quick. you can take correction well.
Wonderful, thank you. Yes, we do our best to make sure that we are selling native species that are suitable for this area. But Maureen is correct. We are seeing the ability of some species to thrive here that wouldn't in the past because of climate change. So those are those Carolinian species, Kentucky coffee tree and tulip tree. We're now able to sell those, and they do well here, and they are native to Ontario. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions? Other questions or comments? Okay.
As far as pickup goes, do you require like a pickup truck or does
No.
the township pick them up or
I usually get.
you can get them? Okay, cool. I would be willing, I could be in Peterborough both space, but I don't have a truck, so I just.
No.
a truck. You got it?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay. The motion to accept Meredith's report, John, seconded by Lance, all in favor, right? Okay, chair report. Who wants to start? Green or Lance?
I can go first. Sorry if I had too many photos. It took a lot of space up there when I was.
The photos are great.
So, okay, I went out on Wednesday, March the 13th. I just briefly put in weather, was beautiful day, 9 degrees, blue skies, warm and clear. I found overall, I'm sorry, I did Mead Mountain Trail, I did Baxter, I did the fairgrounds and what we're calling the new trail, sorry, right? Yeah, new trail. Which is the little one that goes down out towards the eastern part of the fairgrounds there. Overall, the trail conditions were excellent. I thought a little bit muddy as to be expected, but it wasn't actually too wet at all. Very first thing I noticed was the post at the Mead Mountain Trails kind of like tilted, and maybe if I'm like just being like picking at things, like that's fine. It's a little like hung over and looks a little beaten up, so I don't know if it's like it can be replaced or it can't. I would be like willing out of pocket to Mercantile can maybe donate to do that, but if this might be something that we want to replace all of them in next year or the coming years, then we can wait. But it just kind of looked like, I did take a photo, but I didn't include it because I thought it was kind of like maybe not the most important thing.
You're meaning the 6x6
That comes out of the ground. Yeah,
It's just been like that for a while. It's just frosty.
Mhm.
And there's, I mean, I've tried to straighten it.
Yeah.
I really need to dig it out.
Yeah,
Um,
and that's fine. I just thought if that was the first one, that just anyway. Okay. Mead Mountain. The only thing that I noticed was that everyone got a copy of photos here or no? Because if not,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
okay. So then I just thought that it was a little bit dangerous going down that one stretch of path, and the roots themselves popping out were a little bit difficult. So I don't know if there's a suggestion of what can be done to either repair that or going around the one side. So I went around that tree, and it was a little bit steep and fell off a little bit there. If like, I don't know, if something could be put in place, but that was the only concern that I had for the Mead Mountain Trail. On to Baxter, there was a couple of loose boards that were kind of rotted. I'm not the skinniest wallflower, so I didn't think that they were going to snap underneath me, but they were pretty soft and wet. So I did actually put the board that's on it on the two boards that were rotted out. So if it's a matter that those are going to can get replaced, or you think that they can wait for a little while. Yep. There was a 5-board section going further down Baxter towards the river itself. There was one loose board on the side that I'm assuming was sitting there to be replacing one of those boards. So I didn't want to touch it, obviously. But that should ideally be looked at. If it's a matter that it's just really wet and that we might want to wait longer to see if more of them need to be subbed out in the next little bit, that's totally fine. The next was the bridge itself, the little entrance to the bridge. There was missing boards and it just did not really look or feel super safe. This decommissioned bridge over the river, I just noticed that there wasn't any signage saying don't use the bridge. And I know that common sense would say, hey, I'm not going to use this bridge.
That's the old snowmobile.
The old
bridge.
snowmobile bridge.
Mhm.
I'm thinking from the township standpoint, from a liability, if someone were to cross it, they could just go, hey, we weren't told to do that. Once again, I'm picking up things. That was just kind of what I noticed. The heading toward Fourth Line, it was pretty muddy, but given the slope and the way the water is draining off from Zion, I'm assuming that like it gets pretty wet and muddy during that time. It will get worse, but otherwise, I thought all of that was in good shape. I certainly think that we could probably swap out at least the one sign on Zion. The second one, if we have more of these, they just were completely sun faded. One, you couldn't read like really anything at all.
Yeah,
And it just kind of makes it look like we're, we could take a little bit more attention to making it like kind of look clean and welcoming kind of thing.
that one is
Sign of
actually a no authorized motorized vehicle sign, so
Okay.
that's important to
So we can
replace.
replace those with the ones we have.
Cool, so if we have more, and I figured if we're gonna replace them both at the same time, because they're both gonna fade at the same time. Otherwise, then getting to what we're calling the extra trail. You guys have all walked it before. That tire was still there and so I didn't hump that one out. There was a large fender. And then there's the dump pit area at the end of it, which is gonna take a more extensive cleaning when the time comes that we have people available. I pulled up this large plastic metal fender off of, I'm assuming, a car out of the bush, or else I would have gone back for the tire. I left it, Chris, at the top of the fairgrounds, at the very southeastern portion of the fairground before the house. And probably it would be backing on to that gentleman's house that's Bateman, right? That gentleman there. So it's,
Can we just clarify,
Yeah.
what are we calling the extra trail?
what do you want to call it?
It's the diversion trail.
Yeah, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the one
It's not officially open.
no.
Yeah, I just walked it, but I just was
Yeah.
making notes kind of thing, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so that fender came out of what used to be an unofficial, maybe even official town dump. It's at the back of the fairgrounds where the snow fence is. It's easily seen from Frederick Street at the back of the fairgrounds, sort of halfway down its length.
Yeah.
Or quarter of the way down its length. We used to, the scouts used to clean
Yeah.
some of that out every year to try to keep
Yeah.
ahead of it.
I actually like climbing up the hill, slipped and my car keys fell out. So I had to make my way back to find my keys. Thankfully, they were in like the place I thought they were most likely somewhere on that hill.
And the tire is a remnant of the fort that your crew dragged out of there last year. It was just hidden under some stuff
Yeah,
and
oh,
it's
okay.
no longer hidden.
Otherwise, that trail was in good shape for the fact that, not a lot of, maybe no one uses it.
Mhm.
I was thinking though, if this fence could be like fixed and put up again straight, it would definitely be a deterrent for people that feel they could just pitch stuff, because you could just see everything rolls right down that spot. So that,
Isn't the gate closed at the fairgrounds?
Yes,
yeah,
So you can't, meaning that just that you can't get vehicles in there.
Yeah.
You want.
so.
Yeah, I know what we're about.
Yeah. And then the Fairgrounds Trail, nothing to report. Everything looked clear. Nothing that I would have had to take photos of. There wasn't any fallen trees.
Mhm.
Far more so than when we did our walk. And I noticed when I read your report, you had more fallen trees.
Yeah, just
Dealt with,
because-
but it was windy since the time I went
Yeah,
out in that.
exactly.
Otherwise, yeah, I thought it was really good.
So the area that you are talking about as being dangerous is actually a favorite area in terms of aesthetics. And yeah, so it's these trails are wild trails. I mean, we boardwalk the ones that the portions of it that are, you know, just gonna muck everybody up, you know, that get really, really muddy. But in terms of providing a natural experience to people, it's really important that we have some uneven ground. That aspect of the trail is not accessible to people with impaired. You know, but we have other parts of the trail on rail bed, for example, that are very accessible. So we try to get, you know, kind of an even balance. That part of the trail is the very part of the trail that Nancy Thompson, Nature Nancy, brings the kids to show them what being in a natural environment can look.
Sure.
And it is weird there a bit this year because it's been so dry. So things have compacted a little bit more so than they would have in other years. So see, I mean, we may end up having to protect some of that for the sake of the cedar themselves rather than for our protection. Did you do Station Trail by any chance?
No.
No, so there is a chance that it could have been Station Trail, which has rail tie. So I'll go down there today and tomorrow. Would you like me to speak to the person? No, okay. So I did the parts of the trail south of Zion Line. So that includes all of them, including all the mountain bike trails, because we had just had very high winds. Someone had been out there surveying the mountain bike trails before me, though, because I saw them go to the fallen tree and stop and turn around. So I thought I'm probably coming in after the fact. So all of the trails are in really pretty good shape, actually. Cedar is still quite mucky and icy, but I personally don't see any other way of remedying them than all the ways we've tried. I think it's just the on and off wintry weather that is causing that. Most people who use the trails are on cleats, so they're well prepared for that. The asphalt shingle on the bridge over Small Creek on Cedar was very appreciated this year. There were no trees down on Cedar whatsoever, no trees down on Founders Keepers, no trees down on Roots Revival. Small trees diagonally overhead, very small, like this size round, on the rail bed between Meadow and the south gate that would just take a handsaw or a small battery trimmer to get rid of. On Backstage Pass in the area of the old deer blinds, there were two good-sized trunks about that size round on the ground of the type that John used to do for us all the time with a chainsaw. And Backstage Pass was in other ways perfect in every way. Then High Plains Drifter was fine the whole way through. The Itch was fine. Meadow had a tall diagonal overhang that I think is wedged, and a picture of that, it was in my email to all of you. A picture of that doesn't clearly see where it wedges against the fir tree, though. I think it's stable up there, but I wouldn't want to bet on it. So it'd probably be a good idea to have someone look at it. The lower branches need to be trimmed for cyclists though. And then down low on Meadow, about 200 paces from the rail bed, there's a smaller tree that is obstructing. It's all small trunks and branches about that big, so it wouldn't take much to get rid of it. And that was all because of Thursday night's wind, I think. Thursday night's wind. So I've been refilling dispensers where there are some. The Millbrook Rail Bridge post sign, as we discussed last time, at the first pond is down and rotten at the bottom, and it's frozen to the ground as of yesterday. So it needs replacement or something to help it stand up. And other than the mucky areas that we already know about between first and the second pond and between the narrow boardwalk and the rail bridge itself, that needs a diversion, as has been suggested, Grand Trunk was fine as well. There's also that mucky dip in Grand Trunk that could use work about a third of the way down. So
Okay.
these are things, most other than the down trees, these are things that we already know about and are already well documented on former reports.
Okay, so we're not allowed to do this anymore, to do the trees?
So a lot of these trees, you've, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're on the MTDB trails.
Mhm.
So those are county trails. This is ministry property. Those ones township staff. The one you have here on Upper Meadow. Township staff can do. I think if we can get in the practice of when we're doing inspections, take a map with you
Mhm.
and actually put like right where it is. 'Cause staff are having a hard time, go through the email, they go out there and
Mhm.
can't find it, right? So if we can actually locate it on the map.
I
right
can
where
do
it is.
that for you now if you like.
Yeah, that'd be perfect for this one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, I think that'd be the easiest way, so we're not, wasting time
Mhm.
walking all the place.
Mhm.
The trees down.
Sometimes people take it upon themselves to clear them.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
that's,
Yeah, sometimes they get out there and they're on the scene.
Yeah.
So that's one thing too, if it's on the map, and there,
Mhm.
if somebody does clean it up, walking,
Mhm.
and find it, right?
I get it. Mhm.
Just
that-
no help for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Dave did try to set us up with an online version of that, which I have never been able to master.
Oh.
I don't know whether it's
Yeah.
my computer or my brain,
Yeah.
but I have never been able to.
Oh,
do
just
it.
a little mark on the maps,
Mhm.
find the bus, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Little pencil on there.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, that's it for me.
all right, any questions or comments on that? I've made some notes for what we can start to do for smoke day planning, which we'll cover in 8.4. No other concerns or questions, anybody from walking the trails? Okay. So Griffin and John are doing it this next month.
Great, yeah.
So again, be as sort of diligent and detailed as possible for, we'll have workday a couple weeks after that. So just so we have a fairly comprehensive list of what we can add. All right. Okay, I have a motion to accept the trail reports, please. Dave, seconded by John, all in favor? Great. All right, thanks very much, guys, for doing that. Okay, Maureen, do you want to fill us in on, I think they're all sort of aware, but the
Yeah.
TWF workday volunteer?
Yeah, unfortunately, the weather didn't cooperate. And they were really looking forward to coming out because they really enjoy working out here. So it wasn't so much the snow that fell, it was the fact that the ground froze so solidly in the days just prior to the snow. So unfortunately, they don't have much in the way of events funding between April and August for their student volunteer program. So the next opportunity will likely be in the fall. But that's the ideal time for us to be going after Ironwood anyway. So if she finds any, you know, sudden arrival of money, she'll give me a call during the summer, but otherwise it will likely be the fall.
Okay, great.
Mhm.
And yeah, do you, any further update on Ironwood Spring?
I did speak to Sean, and he says that he'll come in under budget this year. You know, he stopped spraying essentially when he thought he was going to go over budget. So that accounts for the areas that aren't quite as well covered as they might have been. But I am wondering whether the mountain bike club can contribute somewhat to that area on High Plains Drift Road,
Right.
especially. Okay, yeah. Because not covering certain areas that are immediately adjacent our trails makes our trails vulnerable. So that would be great. Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
Through you, Chair. At this point, would the committee like to make a motion for the spending, like the allocation of their budget for Ironwood Spring, or do you want to wait until it's closer to him coming out? That was just the update.
Yeah, I think so. I'll know better. I'll know better as things are coming out through the ground. So.
okay. Okay, let's talk about Lower Meds Bridge and boardwalk replacement, section 8.3. So as some of you know that I was able to get in touch with prior to this meeting, I was called to a meeting at the township on March the 13th to speak mainly about the creation of a permanent loop, which we've added to the agenda. But when I was there, we were talking about the boardwalk replacement and the Lower Meds Bridge. So it was kind of surprising to me when I was told that, well, first of all, I think we were all in agreement that we were going to get new quotes to replace the boardwalk past and if not before the new floating bridge. We had talked about that extensively last year. We sort of ran out of time, and we talked at our last couple of meetings about getting new quotes for those as the weather started to turn. It was somewhat a surprise to me that that it was also told that the bridge, the Baxter Creek Trail bridge that we had talked extensively about replacing, was also going to be contracted. So that wasn't my understanding. As some of you may remember, I sent out a package a few weeks ago highlighting a costing which I had been asked to do by the township for materials related to replacing that bridge, as well as a design. And that design is very similar to the bridges that we had built previously on Station Trail. So I've gone back and I've looked at the videos of our meetings for both January 22nd and February 26th. And on January 22nd, at the 7-minute mark, Yvette Hurley is speaking and mentions repairs only to the Baxter Creek Bridge. And there was no talk of a tender for the bridge, only a talk of tender for the boardwalk. And at 15:45-minute mark, we made the clarification that we already had a lot of the materials on hand to rebuild the Lower Meds Bridge. That all we really needed was replacement of the steel beams and some pressure treated wood, but that we had cedar decking and stuff at the works yard, as well as carriage bolts and light bolts and things that we needed, hardware specific. For the construction of that bridge, and Ms. Hurley said she would note that in the text. That's 16-minute mark of the January 26th, January 22nd meeting. We spoke extensively about the design of the bridge. Again, after that point, I drew up some plans as per the request and submitted them to the township. There was no discussion of, bridge construction being tendered out at that point. And, we voted as a committee to receive the financial statement only from Ms. Hurley at that time. And then, just to be sure, I went back and looked at February 26th, to see, and at the 5-minute mark, the township talks about getting bids, again, only for the boardwalk. And they state that money is for boardwalk and bridge repairs. And at the 9:02 mark, again, we as a committee voted to accept the financial report only. So I'm more than happy to be, corrected on this point. I'm just sort of unsure that as a committee, we had specifically agreed to tendering out the construction of the Baxter Creek Bridge. And I think, there are some concerns from myself included and other committee members are happy to, or more than welcome to speak out. I think, we've submitted a costing where, we could build the bridge for around $1,000, there might be some concern from a taxpayer standpoint of having a contractor build the same bridge for, 10 times that or 20 times that. Obviously, we don't know. I'm not sure if we've gone down the road of getting any quotes for that. I think also, sort of part and parcel in this was I had asked a question at that meeting on March 13th about whether or not the township was unhappy with the type of bridges that we've built in the past in terms of there being a safety aspect to them, or B, whether or not the committee would be able to make repairs or construct infrastructure like this in the future. And I sort of felt I didn't really get a clear answer on that. So I think, personally speaking, as chair, and again, other committee members are more than welcome to speak up, but I think that's one of the things that we really like to do as committee members. And I think we need to have a serious discussion as to whether these types of jobs are going to be contracted out in the future. So I'll leave it at that, but if anybody else wants to have a comment, make any comments or.
Township response.
So I think, as you say, the bridges you have made, they are great. You do a great job with this bridge. Maybe if we just go up bridges, so this bridge is a little more than repairs. So
Yeah,
as you,
but I think we were clear that we were going to replace it, and I think that the designs and the discussion and the costing reflected that, right?
so the design, I have given the design to a couple contractors. We have another one coming in. We haven't received any quotes yet. We have no idea what they're coming back at. So they have the design. They are holding to the design. We need to mitigate township liability on these. Like we have two 24-foot I-beams going in there, which are 360 pounds a piece. And we don't have the equipment to take them in. Like this is a health and safety concern. The bridge is a health and safety concern. It needs replaced. It needs replaced fast. During budget, we budgeted for the bridge, for the boardwalk. Council approved that money for the bridge. We have the bridge to replace it. We're getting the quotes to replace it and get it done right, get it done fast. Not to say you're not doing it right, but safely. The contractor is going to be using mini excavators to get the beams in there. It's not, I'd say like if you're carrying 5 guys carrying this beam in, one guy slips, we're in the whole mess, right? Like this is a lot of weight to be hand bombing into the bush. And all the bridge, the old bridge has to come out as well, right?
Okay. I guess my first question, Chris, is this a township concern, or have you heard from your insurance carrier? Because
this is a health and safety concern across the board, just the way the bridge is and getting in with the material.
okay, well, I mean, I will say that, we did remove a bridge twice that length and carry in steel beams twice that length.
Yeah.
At the bottom of the fairground.
Yeah.
With no contractors. So is this,
Well, that may
is
be,
this is a concern since that?
this is a concern because we don't have the proper equipment to get the material in there.
Right, and we didn't have proper equipment to do it at the bottom of the fairground.
Well, that doesn't mean it's right, but
Okay, but I guess my question
So if
is,
we
why
do-
would we allow to?
if somebody- I think times are a little different nowadays,
Okay.
so there is a lot of liability out of there. You gotta mitigate your liability, right?
Okay,
So it may have been okay years ago. Nowadays, there's rules on everything nowadays. I don't wanna see anybody get hurt. If somebody pulls back just trying to lift it up, or you have 5 guys, one person slips that beam, everybody goes down the beam though.
okay. So.
Now, we did
you're saying you're gonna have
present it
that
to council, and council approved money for it, so this, we're going ahead. and
Yeah, I
getting-
guess one of my points though is that our understanding from the discussions we had as a committee with the township was that the council approved the money for bridge repairs and talked about contracted services only before. There's never any discussion of contracted services. So that's just where I'm, trying to make some sort of clarification.
So it was all bridge repairs, but we're a little further than bridge repairs. Think about it, pictures.
Mm.
It is.
Okay, so it's
It's more
a
of
bridge
a-
replacement.
It's more of a health and safety concern right now to replace that bridge for everybody.
Okay,
Like not
so,
just who's building it, but every public that's walking on that bridge.
yeah, no, I think we're all saying it needs to be replaced. I mean, we talked about replacing it before we fall, right? I mean, we all know it needs to be replaced. I don't think anybody has a problem with that. I guess the bigger question then for me is that, let's say, the bridge by the library needs to be replaced. Is that gonna be something the committee can do, or would that be? From this point forward, is all work like this one?
I think that would be a discussion with it. Comes out down the road.
So it'll be a case by case,
I would say.
is the way you want to approach it.
And what about boardwalk construction? Would that be constructed, would that be
So-
contracted there as well?
The boardwalk we are doing this time, we did the bridge and we know the boardwalk, so the trail's still closed. We want to get the trail. So this is an emergency situation. We want to get the boardwalk done. So we are contracting with the boardwalk to get it done. It is a remote location. It's for volunteers to carry everything in there. Like it's
Which
really
we've al-
not,
Which
it's
we've always done.
gonna take you all summer to do it. Right? Like it's, we need the proper equipment to get in and get it done.
A
Yeah.
lot, so a lot of that, disrepair on the boardwalk occurred due to flooding, and excess moisture during the beaver years. But it was compounded by the contractor's alligator, and the weight of the bridge sections.
Yeah.
coming in. So in any given year, the amount of boardwalk repair that we would have to do is nowhere close to this.
No, that's right.
Yeah, but, you know, I'm just a fetch and carry person. I don't do tools, but these guys can build boardwalk like nobody's business.
Yeah.
Like they could easily do that in a day. That much in a day. And we just carry everything in. So that boardwalk and the boardwalk just beyond it and the boardwalk just before the bridge are extraordinarily run down because of the particular circumstances of that time and what happened during the bridge repair.
Yeah.
So with respect to the bridge on Baxter Creek, which we all agree needs replacement and needs I-beams, so the future bridge doesn't kind of warp a bit over time. My concern with that is how are they going to get an excavator in that area?
It's a mini excavator, it's only 4 feet wide.
There's boardwalks going
And
in
we
there.
just, no, there's one boardwalk there, and just gonna put a ramp across and slide them off. They'll go across, they'll set the beams down, grab across the beams, put them in, put two more down, grab it. It'll be very minimal.
And there's no way that we could do every other aspect of the bridge build other than setting the I-beams and maybe putting the bollards in.
So everything's got, it's, we're not gonna get a contractor that's just gonna
Do that.
take in I-beams, right? It's, if we do, it's gonna be half the price of building the bridge, because it's just not worth
Okay,
a lot.
all right. I think the township maybe, I don't think Yvette would underestimate what the work crews can do but like our own work
Yeah,
crews.
no, I don't
But she's seen it
underestimate
in the, it's just that this particular circumstance is extraordinary. So we just don't want to lose all ability to do nice things. As
Oh,
a
we don't
committee.
want, no, we don't want that. This is just a case by case.
Mhm.
But I guess my concern is that the next case is gonna be the same. I mean, what input is the committee gonna have on the ability to be able to build things like these? Like, if we need 30 feet of boardwalk built at Station Trail, is that gonna be something that we're gonna have to get contracted? I mean, are we gonna be just an advisory committee only from this point forward? Are we actually going to be able to use tools to build things?
No, yeah, I think, for sure.
But you can't tell me now that,
I'm just telling you now, to get to this remote area, it's really not gonna happen with volunteers.
no, I don't think anybody's got a problem with,
Yeah.
with that section of boardwalk, Chris. And I mean, the
That was
township
built
is
by
saying that,
volunteers.
Yeah.
So and it stood there a
Oh, I know.
long time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but if the township saying that this bridge on Baxter Creek has to be done by contractors, then I guess I'd like to understand why. Again, my bigger concern is, you and I had a discussion a few weeks ago about replacing the bridge by the library. Because it is in much better condition. Well, it's in much better condition than Baxter Creek Trail Bridge that we're gonna be replacing. It's on the list to be replaced soon. So, but you can't tell me at this point that the committee can replace that if we schedule it for, say, the spring of 2025. We're gonna go one more winter with it,
I think it'll be reviewed beforehand. Yeah,
whether or not we can do it or a contractor.
yeah, it'll be a case by case.
And who makes that determination? Council?
Staff discusses. So this was a council decision to approve the money for the bridge and for the board.
The council's
So we do that capital.
just strictly approves funding.
Yeah, so we have
So
to-
it's strictly staff
We
that's
presented-
making the decisions on safety and implementation is what.
Safety and mitigation.
Yeah.
So does staff have an issue with the way that our bridges have been built in the past?
There's no issue.
I think really what he's saying is that it's, as your point was, it's how, from a mitigation standpoint, when they first built cars, they had no seatbelts. We all agree that, today it's best to exercise as many cautions and safety systems as possible to mitigate liability. I don't think that we've seen any kind of you've had to use insurance for that, but that isn't the case. It's not let's wait until we have to use it. Let's be cautious and never have to use it. So I think in Rob's circumstances that if there's assurances that this is strictly will be a case by case basis, that we're, not going to be just, transitioning to strictly just a, committee of decision making and using our skills and I'm sure on your end, you want to save as much money and not utilize volunteer work as best as you can to keep everyone's costs down. So, we all want to kind of steer the canoe in the same direction. It's just, I think for trying to do as he was just discussing the bridge by, the bridge for next year, it's all right, well, can we know that that's gonna be the case now, or we're gonna wait until, and then maybe there's more erosion, and maybe there's something that's gonna come up, but. You know, I think that maybe we could look at before the season's done, all of the projects that are large or small, and we can earmark the ones that we could. Potentially look at and say, these will require contractors, and all the other stuff is kind of like, no problem. You know, give it a color code or something, you know, one's red, one's green, and then from there we can. You know, plan accordingly.
Mhm.
I'm with you, if it's too much of a, you know, if it's equipment and it's too heavy, or you need, you know, stuff for. Staff says that you think that it's a safety concern, safety's gonna come before everything else.
And this has
We
been
all wanna save
rough
money.
shape for years. It's not like it just got bad overnight, like it's been years. It should have been replaced years.
Well, in fairness, to me, it's only been in the last couple of years, especially exacerbated by the alligator going over. And the, whatever you call whatever equipment they use.
It didn't go in that way, it went in the other way, it didn't touch that bridge.
Oh, no, sorry.
It
No,
came
we're
in
talking
that-
about we're talking about Bogle.
Oh, you're talking,
Oh, I'm talking
you're
this
saying the
bridge,
bridge?
yeah.
I thought you were,
Yeah,
I think at this end of the table, we thought you were talking about. the board.
yeah, no, boardwalk, yeah, they had to go in that way, that's the only way you could get it, yeah. And because we didn't get the snow load
Mhm.
that we were expecting, it did cost more.
Yeah. While on the subject of I-beams, I may have my, kind of chronology wrong, but didn't, we had I-beams that, and what happened?
They were bent during the, yard reconstruction,
Okay,
so they're still there, but they're unusable because of
okay.
that.
Would they be, any portion of them be usable for
Where,
any of the other shorter bridges?
possibly, like where the bends are kind of
Okay.
unfortunately, so you can't just cut sort of 3 feet off the end, but
Right.
anymore, and they need to be as straight as
Yeah, of
possible.
course, yeah.
Did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, so like, based on everything you've said, Chris, I understand the township point of view. It sounds like the transporting of the I-beams is the largest concern with this particular bridge build. And so I would think that in the future, if we're talking about just carrying lumber into locations, that would generally still be viewed as fine.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
using power tools
Yeah.
is still viewed as fine. But in this particular case, it is the significance of the I-beams that's creating the health and safety concern. And then the removal of the materials from the old bridge, but it sounds to me as though we would still have the ability as volunteers to do smaller jobs that are not using I-beams.
Yes.
But boardwalk, it's not a power tool issue, it's not a carrying anything of weight into the wood, it's just these particular two heavy I-beams.
At the moment,
For now, but I mean, that's where we are.
liability creep.
I think I can understand the health and safety part of it. I would like to say a word of thanks to Rob for the work he did, because I think he went ahead and did work, perhaps after staff had the idea that we wouldn't be doing it. And
I don't mind doing the work.
I understand that part. I just,
You know, we're all in agreement, anytime we can do something ourselves to save money for us to be putting towards other projects, that's all of our goals, so. You know, and
For
the
sure, I
less
think,
work you guys have to
Yeah.
do, is the
Yeah.
more time it gives you to work on other projects yourself as well.
I think everything you do is great, like the trails are great, we have a few rough issues that we're trying to fix here, and
Yeah, and
otherwise, it's.
I think, you know, we just don't want it turned into a committee where we say, do this and somebody else does it, right? I think you've got a lot of willing people, not just around this table, but we have a spreadsheet of volunteers that come in every Wednesday. Or whenever else we ask them, and I think, you know, yes, it's tax dollars, but we're the taxpayer too, right? Like, it's our money at the end of the day, and, you know, if we can build a bridge for $1,000 instead of $10,000. Then, you know, I think that makes good sense from the taxpayer point of view, not just. If it's a health and safety thing, I mean, I completely understand that. I'm not saying that, you know. That, you know, it's doesn't make sense. I mean, there's a lot of insurance related stuff that, sort of
Like, what's the potential?
above and beyond, but that's not up to us or you, right? That's,
Like, what's the potential for something such as this, where it's an I-beams and we're getting quoted with, we could do the job for $1,000 and the quote's coming back at $20,000. Could we sign a liability waiver claim saying that we'll put 10 of our own people in on this and, it's compliant with, legal through the township and, okay, something happens, it's on us. And that saves us the $19,000 and, fingers crossed, nothing happens. And we get our own, like.
Okay, I get answer on the legal side.
Yes.
yeah, John has,
I think that's a question that's unfair to ask
Yeah,
staff at this point.
yeah,
Having been on your side of the table
Yeah.
too. Like, I can see the safety part of it, because all it would take is, as you say, drop that beam and one of us gets broken, make it worse. So I'm quite understanding of that, but anyway, I respect the work Rob has done. He could have been saved that work.
yeah, I mean, it was a few hours of fasting. It wasn't, I'm not disputing that. I don't mind doing that well. I just, I just want to be sure that we can continue to do the work we're doing. I'd be ashamed to have, able-bodied and willing people to be able to do work and told that, well, because of ABC, you're not able to do work. I mean, I feel much better knowing that it's not the perspective of the township that the work we've done is not good.
Oh, no,
It's not.
no, not at all.
Yeah.
No, it's great. Everybody.
Okay, so Chris, you had mentioned that you're in the process of getting quotes.
Yes.
And you're quoting to the specs that we provided.
Yes, I have given them your bills. Yeah.
Okay, because at one time, because you had mentioned about a possible bridge over for Baxter Creek that would look similar to the new bridge.
Yeah, so I have given them the bridge, this is what we're looking for, and if they have any input that they would like to give as well.
So you gave them the bridge I submitted or the bridge that was?
Yes, yours.
Okay, so
So I give them your drawing.
we're not going for a look and feel of the phone.
I did give them both options, so here's what we're looking for, if you have any additions or any ideas that you have, yeah,
Okay.
just in case we're missing something or.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, I
Yeah.
told you, I'm not a bridge engineer.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, not an engineer, so
Yeah.
that's fine, but I think there is a certain sort of look and feel that we're going for on the trails, and I think everybody at the table agrees that the bridge, the new bridge is fantastic. But I don't know that, we would want to sort of replicate that look and feel across all the bridges, that we built, because I don't think we want sort of a hodgepodge. So I'm not trying to get into,
No,
Trails International magazine with that look and feel, but, I think we do want to maintain some sort of aesthetic in the sense that it's not all metal and, sort of wood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so will we have will staff, I mean, obviously staff will ultimately decide, but will the committee have a chance to review the quotes before it's decided on?
that I can't tell you right now, I haven't got the votes back, so we'll review the votes. And we're kind of on a tight timeline with contractors right now too. So it's sort of, if we get a permit, we gotta move or it's not gonna get done, right? So
is it possible to call an emergency meeting for us so that we could at least weigh in on before if you guys make the ultimate decision, then or at least it's not gonna be sprung upon, okay, this is what was decided, kind of thing.
Through you, Chair. We always value the committee's opinions. At this point, we're not, receiving quotes is going to be based on likely a financial decision along with, the opinion of what is most suitable for that area, but that is more operational, and I don't believe that's something that comes back to the committee for the formal quotes. If it does become an actual tender based on our purchasing policy request for proposal, there's more of a process. Those do go to council for their approval. But given the timeline, I don't believe the quotes for this type of project being so small would be coming back.
Well, what's the process for it to become an LP?
The total costing
What's that threshold?
over 25, 50.
Over.
Okay, these two quotes.
So we've got 63,000 and a half that council has earmarked. And then we've got the 16 and a half roughly for the town foundation. Make it total of 80. So has staff decided, like, what if the bridge comes in at 30,000? That only leaves 50,000 for boardwalk, which will only get us 200 feet with 400 feet of field. What I'm just shooting numbers at. Like what happens then? Or you haven't thought.
So I'm pretty confident we're not gonna have $30,000 bids there.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it would be a lot less than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we just wait to get our quotes and see where we're sitting.
And you're getting quotes for the boardwalk replacement at the same time.
The boardwalk. So we have our boardwalk quotes from last year, so we are reviewing those, we're getting a quote on the bridge right now.
Right, but didn't we say we'd have to get new quotes for boardwalk, even from the same supplier, just because prices have changed, like lower prices, so. Or would the contractors hold the same price from last year?
That one, so I am speaking with one contractor tomorrow. We haven't gone over all of this.
Okay.
Yeah, so we do have the quotes from last year. We do have the square footage price.
Right, so you just want to make sure there's, that if they get hold of that.
Yeah.
So just so we understand, if the bridge is, are you waiting to see how much the bridge costs to figure out how much boardwalk we can build? Meaning the bridge is gonna be 20,000 and then, so we've got 60,000 and that'll build us however many square feet of boardwalk. Or are you looking at things that,
We're sort of waiting until we get all the financials so we can see where we're sitting.
okay,
Like we gotta wait for the quotes before we can say, okay, this, right?
okay. But again,
Like I can't tell you this bridge is gonna be $5,000, it's gonna be $30,000. We need the quotes to come in.
okay, but has there been any discussion, like, is the amount of boardwalk able to be built gonna be sacrificed by the cost of the bridge? Or you're not even that kind of- Sorry. Oh, Meredith. Oh, all right. You can go ahead, Meredith. Meredith.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask if any permit applications have been submitted for any of the construction, or is that premature at this time?
So I have been speaking with Orca and I'm just
Okay.
waiting for the quote to come in. We have a site plan done up.
Okay, perfect. Thank
It's
you. I
in
just
the
want to make sure
process.
you,
Yeah.
great. I just want to make sure you connected with Dawn.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
John?
So I guess we might be able to put a finer point on it, because I think maybe I'm speaking only for myself. I guess conversations I've heard, if we were to have some input to the council, would we suggest that we would prefer to see the type of unfinished lumber as opposed to the treated lumber and the steel? Because I think we could make that point from this meeting today. Whether, like, I think there's two issues, whether the bridge is going to cost what it costs, and the cards will fall where they may. That's not a mixed metaphor. As far as to how much boardwalk gets built. Because the bridge is going to be built by the contractors, but if we could have the input on the finish of the bridge, I think it would be the preference of the committee to make it look like the bridge that we built to go up to the fairgrounds, as opposed to the steel and chain and that stuff. So I don't know whether we could make that comment now. How council and staff react to it will be up to council and staff, and then those cards will fall.
So we are pricing, Sienna pressure treat, because it does have the longevity compared to the cedar.
So you're saying the decision is made that,
That's what our quotes are being
yeah.
quoted on, yes. And I think for a contractor to get rough cut cedar in time to build a bridge, I don't know if that's a possibility.
Yeah, I will back Chris up on this. I mean, contractors that I've dealt with personally, they never really want to deal with cedar, right? I mean, I guess you know, the new floating bridge is built all pressure treated, but the good news is that pressure treated in a couple of seasons will go gray, just the way our cedar goes gray. So it's
So that's not a concern of yours.
not a line, but I'm just one voice.
But the
And I know-
chain and, like, there's chains as opposed to wooden, that's my recollection along the bridge.
It's not.
On the
Okay.
floating bridge,
Anymore,
floating
yeah.
bridge is,
Yeah,
Wire.
it's not a chain, yeah, it's a cable.
so I guess my preference would be at least make the wood match whatever's being used for the bridge as opposed to having that sort of.
Right.
style.
So when we were doing the bridge, I did bring that up to use the rough cut cedar, and contractors don't want to put the name on
That's not,
something like that, yeah, so they're pretty, like, a lot of them are pretty particular, like,
but
so they're,
they can finish a bridge in all wood, it's like wood handrails as opposed to the chain.
oh, yeah,
That's what you're-
yeah, so it is Rob's design that they have, so
Yeah.
it'd be the same as the bridge that's there.
But it'll just be.
But you also
Which
gave
is-
them,
yeah.
the floating bridge design, you said. As an example, right? You've given them two examples.
Oh, I didn't give them the full bridge, no, I just asked if they had any input
Oh,
on
I see.
anything we should
Okay.
change or,
Yeah, and I mean,
or another option, yeah.
when the pressure treated run, you know, when it wears out, we can replace it with cedar, like it's. You know, I mean, that's, yeah, I'm not surprised.
That won't be
that-
my problem.
No, but I mean, I don't. You know. People build decks out of pressure treated all the time. I prefer to build decks out of cedar, but within a winter, it'll all look the same, but it doesn't matter. That's my thing. Yeah,
We've always, as a point, avoided pressure treated lumber, except for very select uses. Partly because the older versions of pressure treated lumber had their problems.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, Meredith, does Orca have any concerns about using the newer version of pressure treated lumber in vulnerable cold water streams or overlying them?
I can't speak to that as I'm not involved directly in the plan review and permitting services, but Don and his staff, they'll certainly include that in their response.
Okay.
I think a lot of those, a lot if not most of those concerns have been mitigated in the process for pressure treated.
And it's the same, with the floating bridge with pressure treatment.
Yeah.
It was all
Yeah.
permit, yeah,
What's it called? Sienna,
Sienna.
instead of, they used to use arsenic.
Yeah.
But that's all.
Right. I'm encouraged.
Okay, any other discussion points on this? Okay, again, we were trying to make this adversarial and all, I just think we just wanted some verification. And, you know, I think I for one feel better knowing that, you know, it's not a, although we're, you know, we're not engineers, it's not a factor of our workmanship.
No.
Or anything like that. Okay, well, again, I would offer, as I've offered to you before, I mean, if there's anything we as a committee can do to help the contractors in terms of preparation, or whatever, or, you know, we have willing volunteers to be able to do that. That you could pass on, and it's possible to see, you know, designs, et cetera, whatever, before, you know, timing permits, and I think we would appreciate that.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. Okay, section 8.4, workday plan. I think, you know, I think I've already got a list started here. Tonight, I've got a list from other meetings, from trail reports, as I mentioned to Griffin and John. And I will repeat it for all members, as we walk the trails in the next weeks. If there's something that you think we could do, make a note of it. Shoot me an email, bring it to the next meeting, and as usual, we will have quite a detailed list, on the day. We could talk about, workday planning in terms of advertisements, et cetera, as we usually do at our next meeting, because we still have, you know, a few weeks, and we've got all of that material on hand, ready to go with just some easy date amendments, et cetera, and we've got the volunteer list, et cetera. John?
I was just wondering, seeing as how Griffin and I will be doing the next report, we got the replacement containers for mats and such, so we could put them up when we get to the
That's what we're gonna, oh, it's not on there, is it?
No, work plans, we can, we'll put to that under,
Under all the templates?
I can go, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got that. And actually, Chris, just, I would assume that by workday, which is May, what are you saying, is it May 4th? You know, we will be well in hand with plans, maybe not construction. I'm just wondering, have you made, maybe you're not this far along with contractors yet, but you know, obviously as a committee, and I think the township would probably agree, you know, we wouldn't want that bridge out for weeks, right? We're going to get it very quickly.
The one contractor I talked to, he was a 3-4 day turnaround.
Perfect, okay. You know, we can't really control this, but it would be nice to have it done or not done, during which, because it's gonna be a major access point, right? To be able to get to other work. But, I know you can't control that, and we don't even know yet, so we'll just cross that bridge.
Yeah, so I think we'd be okay because it's with the contractor be working during workday during the week, and so I think it'd be complete during the week.
So you would
Not
not over
stuff
a
for
week.
me.
Okay, no, that's right. I mean,
I
it's,
think we would
No,
try,
no,
we would try to.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they may not even start it.
Yeah.
We've done their time. Okay, I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but it is. We would just have to figure out something, but we have lots of time to do that. Okay, yeah, so any thoughts on that? And obviously, you know, things like putting out new trail signage, that sort of thing, if it's not done by then, we all that. I think there's, from what I've seen, unfortunately, this year, I think there'll be lots of opportunity for garbage cleanup, as opposed to other years. So we can maybe use some of our younger members to help with that. We'll have the plantings to do. Obviously minor boardwalk repairs, et cetera. One of the things that may affect that is we usually spread mulch from the trailhead to that bridge. And if construction hasn't taken place yet, then that may be a bit of a futile exercise if they're gonna be bringing things there, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll know. Certainly by next meeting, we'll.
Yeah.
Probably know. Sure, okay. Okay, anything else?
have an idea for near Fourth Line, immediately north of Fourth Line, in that particularly muddy bit. And I have done some exploring, and from the end of the sort of the big span of boardwalk there is a good high route detour that you can take that comes out basically to the end of the first mini little bit of sidewalk boardwalk right by Fourth Line. That is up on high ground. There's a lot of buckthorn in there to clear out, but I think it would be even during the summer that bit can be muddy. So that might be something that would be a fairly easy, you know, just need to go in there with a hacksaw basically. That could be a good route alternative.
Would we need to build boardwalk too?
No,
Just, okay,
no, because it's all up on it goes. It's kind of interesting actually. There's just sort of I don't know, probably only 3 or 4 meters up, but it's kind of a big lump that you can kind of take advantage of, and it will never get bogged down, and you don't need any boardwalk.
so we can have both.
Yeah, and you could have it like that. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Workday related, have we got the screen?
No, yeah, no, we talked about it this week and the website is too much.
Okay.
Right now, so we,
But by
as soon as
May
it
1st,
dries up.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Okay. Any other thoughts, questions, comments on the workday planning? No? Okay, let's bring up the 2024 work plan, then, please, and we could talk about our favorite topic. That,
It's, if you want me to just jump to that right away or wait till 0.8?
I think it's, I think it's on here.
Yeah, so I mean, do you want me to wait until number 8 or do you want me to just talk about it right away?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got it into Baxter Creek or so to Taylor's, finally, so they were just transitioning into a new owner, so they moved to, some warehouse space behind the old Evinrude Center. Maureen took down another box for me there, which is the larger size one, the wooden style. And so they're gonna prefabricate both they're looking at the smaller plastic one that we have and then the larger wooden one. We're in the rotation. I was hoping to have it today. He's most likely gonna get it to me sometime this week. So what my recommendation probably is, if we want to have this done before the next meeting, is I can have it at the store. I'll email everybody. All you guys can come in. You can take a look at it, give me your feedback if there's any modifications. If not, and we're good to go, we'll know a price for everything at that point. Then we can put an order in if we're ready to order, and he can turn it around rather quickly.
What's rather quick?
He said probably within a week, once
Okay.
it's
So
just the product, like the
workday would be more than these.
we'd be able to do it for workday.
Okay.
So,
Is it
yeah,
giving any indication on price?
not at this point. So this was like, he was excited, the challenge of working with the, not-for-profit, community, environmental stuff. So I also said, kind of cried, that we don't have a lot of money and we're all volunteers. And so, yeah, so I'm hoping, as I said, as soon as I get it, I'll have it at the store. You guys can all pop in and just let me know what you think.
Perfect.
And if that's the case, do we want to like put something in the record saying that if it costs this much or whatever, like we capture something now so that it can be done before our next meeting? Or how do you guys want to go forward with this?
I don't know, it's kind of difficult to know without a price.
Yeah,
Like if they're gonna be $50 a thing. then,
yeah,
you know, Yeah, right.
yeah, okay.
I think we could do that by email, can't we? So, I mean, it's not. I mean, our next meeting is April 22nd.
Yeah.
Which is 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before our work day. It's not imperative that we have it for work day. Like it's imperative that we have it for the summer.
Yeah.
But May 4th may not be. So is everybody okay leaving it until we all have it?
Okay.
Okay.
I think it's possible too, we may choose, if they are pricier, which they may well be, than ordinary plastic. We might choose to use those, for example, in the very prominent positions, like the real trailhead positions, and then use the plastic U-line type ones that we were looking at elsewhere. I don't know.
Maybe. The plastic U-line ones are not cheap anymore. Not easy to get. Yeah, just have to order from the States.
Yeah.
And then, the examples that Chris showed us at the last meeting, a couple meetings ago, I mean, they're all. I don't know, I mean, they're all fine, all nice, they're all pricey. And if you could do it, if you do it locally, then.
That would be nice.
Nice and never like.
Well, maybe design it to meet our specific needs, right? Like
Yeah.
tweak it.
Yeah.
Depending on what's available, which I think, you'll know.
Yeah, and I did some slight modifications on Maureen's recommendations as well that he's made aware of. So, the box won't come down and crush the brochures as well, the way that it's got slight design flaws that we've seen already. We'll be able to put screw holes through it so we can mount it as well.
Okay, yeah, well, let's see.
And I said for either like a green or a brown, which like, or a forest color.
And it'll be clear, so you can see.
Clear so you can see through,
Yeah.
so he's gonna source out this separate plastic or like whatever. You can see through, so I'm sure it'll look nice, guide us.
Yeah, okay, well, let's see what it's like.
Could I just request in your email, Lance, to send a couple of pictures?
Yeah, of course, But as I said, I'll bring them the physical
Oh,
copy to
yeah,
the
I know.
store so you guys can come in and touch it and, then you can make a point like, hey, maybe make this wider, this taller, and then for him, that's like a simple, he wouldn't have to like, make another one for us to see it if we don't want to, time wise, but yeah.
Okay. Okay, just going down through this, the one you got on screen here, Carmen, I think everything's fine other than 7. Dave, do you have an update on 7?
I don't.
Okay, maybe flip up to 1 to 6 then, I think everything else we've covered. Road checks,
For the GIS mapping, I have looked into that a little bit, and it's certainly a possibility to upload and to the Salesforce or what, all trails, something like that. So it is just feasible. I know that's the limit to my updates that I've looked into that.
Okay. John, anything on number 4?
No.
Okay. Number 5, we talked about, and we're gonna cover here in a minute. Right.
Yeah, through you, Chair. The signage, did we determine if anyone had Photoshop, or do you need us to reach out to see if we can have alternative sources?
At the last meeting, we just sort of said that we would try and work something out.
Yeah,
Until,
I sent it to you, did you get it?
I think,
I'll resend it, right? Okay, yeah, it's fine.
Sorry, can I ask about number 4? I'm sorry, this is maybe not John's component, but just the township's agreement with Ganaraska. Is there any update on that?
Thank you for asking that. I actually did receive an email from Pam, who we've been working with at the Ganaraska Forest, reaching out, letting us know that they are close to finalizing what they want to use as a template for agreements. However, they are pursuing a formal agreement with one municipality that I think is they have more of a trail relationship with, or a larger system that's intertwined within that municipality. Once that agreement has been finalized, then they are going to present it to us at the township and also to our council. If the agreement is something that we want to enter into and that we agree with, that will be brought forward. They're anticipating fall of this year. So we are still working to have open communication with them. I know there was some discussions at their public open house about their relationship with Millbrook Valley Trails, and we did reach out again saying, do you have any updates? But at this time, the township is open for those conversations, and it has been left that Ganaraska will come back to us when they're ready and with more of an actual agreement to present to us.
Okay. Excellent.
Will they do that through you, Mr. Chairman? Will they do that through presentation to council in public, or will it come to staff?
I believe staff will probably see the initial agreement, and then we will likely bring it back to either both the committee and council, but certainly public.
If they're coming to do it at a meeting, like
Yeah.
if we had the heads up.
Absolutely. Yeah, so stay tuned for, I would say, fall of this year.
When I was at the GRCA open house, Pam was talking about parking being an issue in terms of our interface with the Ganaraska. Did she bring that up specifically?
Nothing specific at this time.
Do you want me to mention that part of the next meeting? GRC.
April 7th, I think. her meeting
That's the
is.
Elgar one that we were.
Yeah,
And I
just
just
like,
walked there.
she was implying that it would be local residents who lived and worked along the intersection points with Millbrook, fire routes and road allowances that would object to an increasing use of roadside parking or blocking driveways and stuff like that. I don't think it's been a problem up to now, but
I'll submit a
I've never seen that in
Discuss.
writing. It's just something she.
I'll submit a point to bring up.
Thank
Next, GRC.
Okay, anything else on the report?
Me?
Okay.
I'm assuming your list includes the things we've been, like the gated students twice. And potential to do something with, like, we,
For workday?
yeah,
Yep.
that's fine.
Okay, so let's go really quickly to the three items that we're adding. So the first item is plans to rewrite a short section of the Grand Trunk pathway to bypass the seasonal spring.
Yeah, so so I did put up signs on that portion of Grand Trunk, just indicating that it's spring thaw and to encourage people to stay off that trail. Didn't put those signs up anywhere else because this was just before the most recent snowfall and everything was mostly dry, but was in reasonable shape. But that one it gets chronically muddy, and then a shortcut gets created that's not a very good shortcut, but it is getting established. And I think it's better if we just tackle this once and for all, because it is every spring. And as far as I can tell, the source of the water is on the trail. It's not wet, it's not draining in, it's really coming out of the ground in that spot. And so what I'm proposing is it would roughly be just to do it in the nicest way that makes sense with the trail leading into and coming out of it, to reroute about 30 meters, 40 meters of trail, perhaps. And we're only talking about moving it 10 meters to the left, essentially, as we're heading through, so, or north, I guess. Sorry, so maybe it's east. Oh, God.
So
Anyway,
You mean
so
slightly uphill a bit, yeah?
slightly uphill. Yeah, slightly uphill.
and then would this be permanent?
I think we should make it permanent. I don't see any reason to preserve what's there, and it's not a typical trail build situation where we need to do grade changes or we need to do it. Essentially, it's just walking through a cedar forest and trimming the lower dead branches so you can get through. I don't even think we need to cut any trees down. It's just clearing those dead branches, which just create this difficult to pass through area. So, I mean, it's very simple. I mean, hikers are doing it anyway. We're just going to do it more formally and in a better way. What I'm proposing. I guess the question is just, I'd be happy to reach out to the ministry to just see if, just ask for permission to do that. I don't think, Meredith, there would be any permit required since we're not touching the ground with tools.
No, you're correct. If it's just vegetation removal, that's outside the scope of the Conservation Authorities Act.
Okay, but I do think we should do it because every year this comes up and we do put those signs up until essentially June every spring. And yeah, it dries up, but the spot dries up by summer, but it's we end up closing the trail for months, and that keeps the honest people off, but then other people just stretch through, and so we should do it properly. So I just wanted to bring that up, and hopefully, yes.
Yeah, so if you ask permission to the ministry to get it,
Mhm.
do you, like, would this be a workday project? Would it just be a couple of us going out and doing it?
I think a couple of us just go out and do it.
Would we need signage, temporary signage?
I don't think so,
Okay.
because I think the existing trail remains as is, and then we just exit it and then return to it. The stretch of, at a stretch of 30 or 40 meters.
Through you, Chair, I apologize. I'm just looking for some clarification then. Grand Trunk is one of the township's trails, but you're referencing the ministry property. Is there an extension of Grand Trunk on ministry property that's not part of the townships?
No,
Or-
none of it's township property, but it is our trail.
Okay,
Yeah, we have,
Yes.
we have.
All of this,
okay.
So it's
all of this is ministry property, all the trout ponds, all, yeah, it's something we.
So I just, 30, 40 meters, that's a big stretch, right?
well, and it's like here to the reception desk, and if something's in your way and you need to go around it, then essentially that's the path you take, is you don't just go straight at it and over. We're veering.
I just think if we're changing the trail, it's gotta be approved, right?
Yeah, approved by more than the ministry.
Yeah, I'm bringing it up so we can approve it, and if there are steps we need to take, then let's identify those.
Okay, can we review it first? If you can mark on that map that's going around, so we can see.
Yeah, I think the only way you'll be able to figure it
Because-
out is if Dave accompanies you
Yeah, I can
one
put
day.
survey flags in the ground so you can see them.
Okay, well, how about me and you just go for a walk one day, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's one thing, temporary health and safety reroute, but if the trail is changing.
But you're not
Yeah.
suggesting a formal survey. As well within Ministry of Public.
No, not a survey right now. I think we should just review on how much we're veering off the
Yeah,
actual trail.
Let's go take a look.
Yeah,
Mhm. The only reason we had to have surveys in the past was because we were wanting to make sure that we were in the within the Dial road allowance.
Mhm.
So it was, yeah, and weren't in danger of going into other people's private property, but there's no private property there.
Yeah.
So I would think if the ministry's okay with it. I mean, I think they likely will encourage it because they would want the spring to be
Yeah.
able to behave as the spring wants to behave. The other advantage to doing this and rerouting it through Cedar is that that portion of the trail that is now very springy is also completely surrounded by buckthorn.
Hmm.
At some point, the ministry will want to take those trees down and will want to replace them likely with cedar because of the springy nature of the whole situation there. And that having that extra trail would allow us to do all that remediation or allow the ministry to do that remediation gradually. It won't be as lovely. It looks like a nice grove, even though it's springy on the bottom, like mucky on the bottom. But if we have the trail moved over, then that whole area can be remediated. And having cedar there instead of buckthorn might actually help suck up some of that water.
Okay, do you wanna? You wanna coordinate with Chris first and then, depending on that, then we can reach out to the ministry.
Yeah.
If you need survey flags, there's lots of the show.
Okay. Yeah, I think saying 30 or 40 meters makes it sound like a lot, but I think when you see it,
Yeah.
it's the type of work you can do in 3 hours. It's not invasive. It's just, we're just redirecting people, around these trees instead of through there. Yeah.
I just think, I just think we should have a look at it first and see where we're standing and so we'll break some.
Old left hand, right hand.
Yeah.
Through you, Chair. Once David and Chris staff are able to go take a look, I don't think there wouldn't be any reason that Chris can't reach out to the ministry through our agreement
Sure.
to get whether it is a yes or a no, and we can bring that back to the committee. That way, if the committee supports it, your work is done. If the ministry says no, then we can also provide that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and
Vote
then
on
the second agenda item, Dave, was identifying the procedure that the township would like clubs and groups to follow when planning activities and events on the Millbrook Valley Trails.
Yeah, we'd asked about this last time. Did you have an answer? Did you need it?
Yeah, so again, this was something that the township did discuss with our chair. Right now, because the request for, I would call it regular use, is coming in quite minimally. We do have MBT who we know regularly uses the trail. I do believe we've been in the practice that you've provided the township with a certificate of insurance.
Yes, happy to do that.
Perfect. So we're going to continue with that. If you had mentioned there might be a Peterborough group interested as well. We just ask that they reach out to Chris, and Chris will work with them to coordinate very similarly. We do not have a formal policy at this time for like weekly groups or that type of thing. However, for events, we're going to continue the same process where the event will come to the Millbrook Valley Trails Committee first. They usually present, go over their route mapping. The committee, if there is any concerns, you either support or do not support the rate, typically races event with conditions or not conditions. That motion then goes to our council for our council to also have their opinion on if they support it, if they don't, and then they'll either direct staff to work with the group or not. So at this time, there's nothing really formal that we need to do. We're just going to continue to ask for those certificates of insurance.
Okay, so I guess in a case where it's not regular use, so if there's, the Port Hope Hiking Club or the Coburg Cycling Club, and they want to just, let's go to Millbrook for variety. do they need to ask for permission to use the trails in any way as an organization because they're doing? I was hoping the answer is no. I know if they just came on their own, it's public property.
Yep.
But if an organization comes as part of their organized event, do you need anything from notification from them? They're just coming for the night to use the trails.
I would give, it would depend on the circumstance, but if it's not like a marketed
Right.
event, no, it's,
Yeah.
it's public property, public use. Absolutely enjoy the trails. They're beautiful. We have no concerns with that.
Yeah, I think it's mostly people who are being very diligent and courteous about asking for permission, who probably don't need to, but I just wanted to clarify if there was. I understand if it's a race or it's something that affects a lot of people or
Some more organized.
intensive, yeah. It's for
Monday
profit-
nights
for
from
profit.
5 to 8 or whatever all summer, right? But
Yeah.
Something more organized and.
Okay, but if it is that, then reach out to
Just
Chris.
reach out to Chris, yeah.
And really, it's the certificate of insurance that you're
Looking forward.
looking for, and as well as the heads up. Okay, excellent, thank you.
Okay, any other questions on that? Okay, then the third added agenda item is the creation of a permanent loop connecting Bass Street Trail and the Fairgrounds Trail. So we had talked about this quite extensively, started with the meeting with the township I had with on March 13th. This is something we started back in COVID, again, as a diversion, high land for flooding. But since then, discussions have taken place that we'd like to make it permanent, beaver activities back and, has continued their entire time, the trails have been here. So I think it's a good thing to have. But the township has asked is that we make a formal presentation to council to request this. So the direction I got was that we just need a formal motion to do so. That's what the committee would like to do. I'll make it. Do you need the wording on that, Karen? Also to take to council. the
It sounds
creation of a
like
permanent-
that the Millbrook Valley Trails Committee requests council support to make the Baxter Creek, that was the temporary reroute into a permanent trail.
Yeah.
Second.
Yeah.
So I just got one question with pretty well. So this trail will require another bridge.
As we
And
get
it's, yes, it's a little bigger body of water there.
It's a bigger body of water. I think the span is actually shorter because the banks are sort of more. Banks are more like this than this.
It's more similar to the John Selleck Bridge at the bottom of the Fairground Hill.
No, it's not gonna be that, it's not gonna be that long. Crossing. Because what's there now is. I'd say it's less than half of it, wouldn't you do?
Sorry,
The span of the bridge that would be required would be less than about half of the span of the John Selleck Bridge.
I mean, at first I thought they were the same size, but now that you mentioned that the trail does widen by the Unsellick Bridge, I don't think it's half.
Okay. Okay.
A little bit smaller.
Right. We could also negotiate where that crossing is.
Yeah. Gets them down a little bit.
The thing is, there's no negotiating with beavers. We tried to convince them to go elsewhere. They just move up and down the creek. So we do have to have, if we want assured continuity, we will need to have
Higher ground.
a higher ground diversion. Mhm.
And through the chair, this request going to council, is just a request to start the conversation so that it can be a public process. Everything after that, there would still be due diligence searching if it is supported, due diligence permits and working within our budget. So those are all still factors at play, but this would be your first step to making it perfect.
Okay, so do you need to read the motion again or?
No,
is
we
everybody
do.
good?
We have Councillor Natrop as your mover and Maureen McDonald as your seconder.
All in favor? Okay, when. When would you like that presentation made?
Um,
Like, when's the next meeting? Is it too late to get on the agenda?
no, if you would like to come. Yeah, if you're, oh, yes, okay, it would have been due today. So the next meeting opportunity for Robert will speak on behalf as the chair, I believe. The last day to submit would be April 8th at noon, and we'll get you to do a presentation.
What's the meeting date though?
Oh, the 15th.
15, okay.
And of course, the committee is welcome to it. We were in person back in our council chambers, and then we also do live stream on YouTube, but that you can't participate through YouTube. It's just. But again, if that meeting date doesn't work, then I can work with you to get you to.
Yeah. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, then, final item, items for next meeting. I have one, we could talk about a potential wood purchase. If we're not gonna be building a bridge, we'll probably have more cedar in reserve than we thought, but. We could give it more wood, we would probably by next meeting, we'll maybe have an idea of what needs to be done, etc. We can talk about that, because I think we'll start getting ready May time at the, oh, no. Anything else anybody would like to add at this point?
We will bring back the grand trunk next meeting as well.
Okay.
I do have a contact, with, daughter-in-law of Jan, who, Jan Shields, who was formerly on the committee, who has, received, plans to, put together a butterfly flyway, 12 native flora, corridor in Millbrook, in and around Millbrook. And it's something, put forward by the Suzuki Foundation. So that it's, woman's name is Christina Rennick. And she would like to talk to us about the possibility of putting some of the gardens in and around Millbrook Valley Trails, although she does have other areas as well. She'll likely be approaching council as well. That area under the willow tree where the goutweed and the periwinkle is such a problem by the mill pond might be a good place.
So she will make a formal delegation to the.
At some point, yeah, she's
Okay.
she's finding, she has a workshop April 7th where she finds out about how the Suzuki Foundation recommends that they interface with local municipalities, etc. And where to find funding and
Okay, well, she can
Yeah.
approach us.
Yeah.
She's ready.
Yeah, and if she's looking either to come to Millbrook Valley Trails or council delegation, it's on our website to submit, but she can, please feel free to give her
Okay.
myself my contact
Okay.
and I can give her all of that.
Okay, Shirley, thank you.
Okay, anything else?
Follow up to our last meeting. I did contact the administrator of the porta potty, and they are open to have it by the opening position.
Which is
Oh,
on.
cool, oh, cool. Thanks.
It's last Saturday.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
next meeting date, April 22nd. Is that, the 29th, the holiday?
So April has 5 Mondays, so we went with the 4th.
Oh, okay. Cool. April 22nd, and again, Griffin and John to his fellow part. Motion for anything else?
When do we think we should have posters made up for the?
The posters are made up.
Are they?
We just have to get them out, and I think if we
Mhm.
do them on the 22nd, that would be. Or we could, you and I can talk. We can put them out there.
Okay.
if we want. Just need to put them out.
Thank you.
Okay, motion for adjournment? John, seconded by Dave, all in favor? Okay, thanks very much, everybody.